Thank you. So excited to be here. I'm very grateful. And my topic that I want to talk about is about love and relationships. So for the few years that I've been...
our friend wants you to create an ecosystem, and we do too.
Yeah.
A vibrational ecosystem that supports the natural loving relationship. Good enough? Next.
I've only been following the teachings of Abraham for a few years, and in that time I have manifested amazing things. And the three things that I've been able to do, I've been able to follow kind of like a timeline or feel touch points that, okay, I'm in alignment, keep going this way, or I'm not in alignment, don't go this way. But when it comes to finding a relationship or love, there's no timeline. It's just waiting or trying to follow the good feeling thoughts and do things that make me feel happy and feel joy and just keep living my life.
This is the point in the conversation where we lean really heavily on the process and tool of meditation, because you've already asked and it's already lined up, and now you've got to get your thoughts out of the way. When anybody says this to us, what you just said, and you all heard her clearly, it means that you've got some momentum of some thoughts that are in the way. So we have some questions for you. Do you believe that through your life experience of knowing what you don't want and knowing what you do want, that you have put enough components into your vortex about this relationship that it is gestated, it's ready for you, and you want to be ready for it?
Absolutely.
So just to be clear, you don't feel like you need more life experience in order to ask with greater clarity.
No.
You think that it's cooked and ready for delivery.
Yes.
Well, that matters. That matters a lot, because sometimes people might say, well, there are a few more components that I'd like to collect data on and to sort out. So that's a solid place to be. So you believe that there is a vibrational reality that you just, for whatever reason, have not allowed yourself to realize.
Yes.
So we want to paint a picture. So here's your vortex, and it's in this high-flying, non-resistant vibration. And here you are next to your vortex, in some proximity to your vortex, in some vibrational proximity to that vibration. So if you're in sync vibrationally with what's in your vortex, then there's this open channel, there's this open communication between your vortex and you, which means you're getting inspiration all the time, and you are realizing the unfolding of this creation. You're witnessing some of it every single day, because your vibrations are the same. Your inner being's vibration about this topic and your vibration about this topic. And so you are realizing or realizing steady impulses and ideas and thoughts about it. And if that isn't happening, if you're not realizing that, then that means something other than your vortex is influencing the predominance of your thoughts about this subject. Did you hear that? That was very perfectly stated. If you're not realizing some open expansion, if you're not witnessing movement on this topic, it means this influence of your inner being is not reaching you as much as some other influence. Now, what's the other influence? The other influence, we talked about it already here today, is the influence of thoughts or patterns of thoughts that you keep thinking. It's about remembering past experience, but mostly it's about focusing on what is. What is no relationship? What is a relationship? What is no relationship? If I'm looking where the manifestations are, where people on Valentine's Day go, or, that means that these thoughts of what is have stronger influence on your moment-to-moment thought than what's in your vortex. So what this conversation all day long is pointing toward is, how can I create my petri dish of me? How can I create my vibrational atmosphere of me that makes me influenceable by my inner being rather than by the peanut gallery? How do I make myself more ready to hear this than to hear this? Because inner being is saying, all things are possible. Reality says, accept this. You just said those words to us. This works, this works, this works, this doesn't. So it's a belief based upon old news, first of all, and it's certainly not based upon what's going on here, because if your thought processes were based upon what's going on here, then there'd be no separation between you and this, and you'd be in a constant state of unfolding of that. Because you told us the only thing that matters. You told us, I know what I want. So do you think that you think about what you want, or do you think that you think about the absence of what you want?
Both.
Yeah. And what's manifesting speaks to what's dominant in your vibration. So how are you going to not think about that thing you keep thinking about? How are you going to think about it differently? Well, it helps to go back to the basics of the laws. It helps to accept that it is a reality. It helps to accept that it is a done deal. It helps to accept that your inner being knows. We like this statement a lot, and we like how you often feel about it when you hear it from us. Your inner being knows where you stand in relationship to everything that's in your vortex, and your inner being knows what your path of least resistance is to get there. But can't you feel yourself sometimes just deliberately holding on to a thought, almost defiantly or stubbornly, that just doesn't let you go where you mean to go? Did you ever have anybody in your life experience, Mother, who you from time to time often felt defiant about? You know that feeling of you don't know? Well, you're playing that battle with yourself. It's like, the facts don't speak to this, so I'm not going to be so airy-fairy that I will allow myself to tell a story that isn't. But you got to tell a story that isn't, or you just keep creating the story that is. You got to tell a story that isn't. And humans say, oh, that seems deceptive. And we say, it seems wise to us, rather than regurgitating more of what is. So telling a different story, but telling it from the inside. You've got to find satisfaction with where you are. This conversation is going to help us say some really important things about a lot of things to all of you. The thing that hangs you up more than all other things put together is that what has already manifested, that you can see and hear and smell and taste and touch, has such an inordinate amount of your attention. You believe so much in this manifested reality. It's like you've forgotten about everything that's in the pipeline. And yet it's what's in the pipeline. It's the thoughts turning to things where all the fun is. That's where all the fun is. Once the thoughts have turned to a thing, oh, they can continue to evolve, but all of the fun is in the becoming. Another thing, there's never going to be a time that there's not a whole lot more in the pipeline than there is already manifested. And so this is our kind way of saying to you blatantly, you might as well get used to what's in the pipeline, because that's where most everything is, and stop being so hung up on what's manifested, because that's so over. Esther said to Jerry one day, and this speaks to it as well as anything that we've ever said out loud. She said, why don't you buy me that new car? It would make me happy for the afternoon. Well, Esther's not spoiled like that. She didn't mean it like that. What she meant was, that'll really make me feel kind of excited for a minute. But then it's a thing where it's the things that are in the state of becoming where all of your juices are. And so the relationship that is evolving could really be ringing your bells if you were focused upon the relationship that is evolving rather than the one that hasn't come yet. And say to yourself things like, I'm getting ready to be ready to be ready to be ready to be ready. I'm standing in readiness for the next. And I'm ready for an idea to come that feels good. And that's enough. And it's got to be enough, because it's all there is. But when you say, I'm ready to meet this person and take this person and be with this person, you're not ready to be ready to be ready. That's too far down this road. You got to be where you are and happy where you are, satisfied with what is and eager for more, not dissatisfied with what is. Dissatisfied with what is won't let it evolve. Can you hear us? And it's so easy to look where the relationship isn't and have an emotional response to the absence of what I want. That's perfectly logical, but it holds you in a holding pattern, you see. And so now what? So what comes to your mind? What do you want to ask now that you've heard this?
So if there are temporary, not serious relationships along the way, do you follow the thought of, okay, well, this is good for now, or ditch it and focus on the vortex?
Well, when you sat down, you used the word grateful, and we like the word appreciation more. Momentum is about the appreciation, which means the gathering of more of what is. And so if you feel appreciation for what is, then it can become more. But if you feel like it's not enough, then you're experiencing the opposite of appreciation. And if that's the case, you might as well ditch it. But you can find appreciation everywhere. In every moment in time, there are components. And see, here's the most interesting thing about this. You're really going to hear this. In the relationship that doesn't feel like it's the one that you want, there are components that represent things that you do want. And if you are looking with appreciation for those things, then you are still moving forward. You're not going to turn this unwanted relationship into the big relationship, but you are going to allow the things about it that you appreciate in it to sustain you until you turn another corner and find something more and find something more and find something more. Now that's why we ask you, do you feel that you've lived enough life that you've put all the pieces in the vortex? Do you?
Well, maybe not.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Isn't it a wonderful thing if your inner being knows that you're not quite finished deciding? Wouldn't it be nice if your inner being didn't give you the impression that this wrong one was the right one? Well, that can never happen because your inner being knows where the right one is and will lead you to it. If your inner being could speak in really precise words, here's what your inner being is wanting to say to you. Just a little bit. I've just got to tune in here because this is what your inner being wants to say to you about this subject. You are decided. You have decided, but you don't believe in your readiness. Whew. There it is right there. Your inner being wants you to know you are ready. You are ready. You just don't know that you are ready. So there really isn't anything in the way except your perception of your readiness. And that's because you're trying to get into the head of the other and think what that other might be thinking. Don't do that. Don't think about what the other might be thinking because you're wrong. You didn't cut down the trees. So now just have fun because it's really, really close. Just have fun. Really, really, really fun. Fun in the anticipation. Doesn't need to be today. So a friend might say to you, hey, did you meet that person yet? Oh, hell no. I don't want to mess up this fun. I don't want to get there too quick. I'm having such a good time on my way there. The feeling of anticipation is what I'm savoring most. It sounds like a contradiction because we're saying if you cannot be in a hurry, it'll happen fast. Sounds like a contradiction, doesn't it? But if you're in a hurry, you slow it way down because your hurry is out of whack and your satisfaction is in alignment. Does that make sense to you? This is a really good time for a segment of refreshment.
You make a difference and seek joy and freedom, and most important of all, to feel good. Feeling good, feeling good, feeling good, feeling good, feeling good, feeling good. Most important of all is feeling good. Feeling good, feeling good, feeling good, feeling good, feeling good, feeling good. Most important of all is feeling good. Feeling good, feeling good, feeling good, feeling good, feeling good, feeling good. Most important of all is feeling